Welcome back to Underdark Cellars. Today we're skipping the intro and diving straight into it. So first things first, we're going to start on the Toffee for Donkey Kong's banana and Dole Whip ice cream. I decided to make the Toffee myself instead of buying it from the store because it was cheaper and I had also wanted to make it. I had never made it before. It was actually very easy, 10 out of 10 recommend. Basically, you're going to melt your butter and your sugar in a pot until it reaches 285 degrees. You are going to then transfer that to a parchment lined baking sheet, spread it around, and then while it's still hot, you're going to sprinkle like a cup and a half of chocolate chips all over that and really smush them around and let this set until it is cool completely. Next, we are going to move on to the banana ice cream base itself. I'm going to melt some butter and brown sugar in a pan, and then I'm going to put some sliced bananas and chopped pineapple, and totally missed this one. And then once those have had a chance to cook down, I'm going to add a splash of rum and some spices. The rum actually serves two purposes. One, I wanted to get that flambéed banana vibe, but also the rum will help the ice cream be softer because it prevents the dairy from freezing through all the way. So we're going to then cook that down for a little while until it caramelizes. Then we're going to blend it. Now we're going to work on the ice cream base itself. We're going to mix some eggs and sugar together, and we're going to bring heavy cream and whole milk to a boil. I'm going to slice two vanilla bean pods lengthwise and scrape out their innards, and then we're going to pop all of the vanilla bean and vanilla bean pod in the milk. We're going to steep that until it's starting to come to a boil. We're going to temper our eggs so that we don't, scramble them. That would be nasty in ice cream. We're going to transfer our tempered egg mix back to the milk, and we're going to cook this for about 2 or 3 minutes on medium high. We're going to then transfer that to a bowl, add in our banana and pineapple mixture, and let this cool completely before we even think about putting that in our chilled ice cream maker. Next, we're moving on to Peach's birthday cake. Princess Peach's birthday cake. This is modeled after the cake from Nintendo 64. We're gonna make just a simple yellow sheet cake for the base of this, and we're going to put the batter in a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper so that we can cut out a number of circles. I don't have small little circular cake pans, so I'm just gonna use random bowls and cups I have lying around the house to get those shapes. I think my dimensions are off and I cut too many layers, so she's gonna look a little wonky compared to how she looks in the park, but it is what it is. For the star topping, I'm gonna make some shortbread stars to sit on top of the cake because, to be honest, I did not want to make sugar cookie dough because it's a large batch and I can make a small batch of shortbread. Once those come out of the oven, I'm going to let them cool, and then I'm going to paint them with a little bit of diluted food coloring to get the colors I wanted. I didn't want to show that on camera because I was feeling lazy. Now we're going to work on the whipped buttercream frosting. I decided to do a whipped cream buttercream frosting. I saw on the menu that it said whipped topping, and to me that just read whipped topping from the freezer section, and I didn't want that on my homemade cake. So I'm putting this frosting in between the layers with some torn raspberries. We're doing a really bad crumb coat, and then we're gonna let that chill in the fridge, and then we're gonna go back in with some nice fresh whipped buttercream frosting, and we are going to pipe the little decorations the way they appear on the cake. Cake decorating is not my strong suit, okay? Don't come for me. I'm a better cook than I am a cake decorator, okay? Leave me alone. I'm doing my best. So we're gonna put some sprinkles on this because there's sprinkles on that one. We're gonna put some raspberries on this because there's raspberries on that one. And then we're gonna take 3 little melon balls that I, scooped and put that there. And then, oh my gosh, look how cute it is. I'm obsessed. Moving on to Toadstool cheesy garlic dippers. That's hard to say. Anyway, so we're gonna start by proofing our yeast in some milk and a little bit of sugar. Then we're gonna, once that's proofed, add that to a bowl with an egg and some butter and some seasoning and some cheese, and then a little bit of flour, and then we're gonna start working in our flour until it all comes together, and we're going to knead that on high for about 5 minutes and pray that our KitchenAid mixer doesn't explode. We're going to then transfer that to a greased bowl. Now, I read some reviews online that said they were a little disappointed there was no cheese inside, so fret not, Toad lovers. We are going to stuff these with some fresh mozzarella cheese. Now, we're going to just cut this into 12 pieces and cut that again into 2 because I made 24 of these, and on hindsight I really should have just made 12, and that way they would have gone over the top. They weren't quite that large, but I just stuffed them with some fresh mozzarella, and then I brushed them with some herbed garlic butter and a little bit of olive oil and set them aside. Now we're going to work on, now that this has chilled, we're going to put our ice cream mixture in the KitchenAid stand mixer attachment. This is the first actually KitchenAid stand mixer attachment I have purchased for myself. Ha ha ha. Anyway, we're gonna let that churn while we work on the hot sauce for the Bowser Spicy Meatball challenge. I'm sorry if that was offensive to any Italians out there. So keep in mind, I'm not Italian. I'm just doing the best I can. So I'm just going to make a hot sauce with some Calabrian chili oil, some Calabrian chili spread, some olive oil, fresh garlic, and 2 Fresno chilies that I seeded and finely chopped. I couldn't find Calabrian chilies near me. Calabrian chili is what you use in like an arrabbiata, which is the Italian, like, kind of quote-unquote spicy, like, pasta-based sauce. So what I did functionally is I took the spicy elements out and made its own hot sauce to add to a mushroom-based marinara, or my attempt at a mushroom marinara, because I didn't see any Italian recipes for traditional mushroom marinara, so I just did the best I can based on Reddit. I did get a tip from a grandma to soak some breadcrumbs in milk, and that made the meatball so tender, so do not skip that. I also shredded the remainder of my Parmesan cheese, tossed that with an egg, and we're just gonna, make this spicy meatball, nice. We're just gonna season this. Season your damn meatballs. I put in dried oregano. I put in dried basil. I put in garlic powder. I put in Italian seasoning. I put in salt. I put in hella salt. The reason that stuff tastes good in the restaurant is because it has more salt, sugar, and fat than you're used to cooking with at home. Okay, so once it all comes together, it is a big meatball. So we're actually gonna sear all the sides until it's nice and somewhat crusty on the outside. And then once all the sides have been seared, we're going to stick a probe in it, and then we're going to put this in the oven and cook that until the internal temp reaches 165.
Oh boy, damn boy, she's sick.
Once that does, we're actually going to broil some mozzarella on top. We're going to add that pasta sauce, and then there's the additive. And then, oh my gosh, look, at the same time, our ice cream's done, and we're going to assemble this. So we've got our pineapple banana ice cream. We've got our fresh toffee. Look at that. Looks so much better than the other photo. We got some caramel corn, and there we are. All in all, I think these recipes were a total success. I do think that there were a couple things I would tweak, like, one, having the ability to put the waffle cone in with the, the pineapple soda float. I also didn't have the ability to do the soft serve option, so I just combined the flavors into one for the Donkey Kong banana sundae. For the Toadstool garlic dippers, I didn't have a popover pan, and so because of that, I think instead of putting this into 24 pieces, I would have just done it in 12. And then I did forget the Parmesan cheese on top, but to be fair, this photo doesn't look like it has a ton of it on top either. Peaches cake, I think a couple lessons learned. I think it needs to be shorter, but the flavor was so good, I wouldn't change a thing. So I just went purely off of the descriptions in the on the menu. And then Bowser's giant meatball apparently was only, I got a little carried away, and I made it 3 pounds instead of 1 pound, so it's 3 times the size. I did not do Bowser's puff pastry because I was not about to make puff pastry again and then cut it out by hand to make Bowser. So recipes will be in the description below. If you like what you saw, smash that like button, subscribe, comment, share, ring the bell for notifications. Adventurers, take care of yourselves, do something nice for someone else, and I will see you next time when we do the Harry Potter part of Epic Universe. Stay tuned.